Let's talk about a Cincinnati four-star linebacker, that's getting predicted to land in South Bend.
Yeah, I want to continue to discuss Notre Dame's Junior Day weekend and Kobe Clapper, listed at 6'2", 195 pounds from Cincinnati St. Xavier, nation's number 284 overall prospect, number 24 linebacker, predicted to land at Notre Dame by On3's Vice President of Recruiting and Transfer Portal, Steve Wiltfong. If that name sounds familiar, Steve it was on the Notre Dame beats, several years ago and did a great job around South Bend, covering the team. And he's a national guy now, and he stays very up to date on what's happening with Notre Dame recruiting. So when Wilfong logs a prediction, it's definitely something to keep note of. I mean, if old Singer here logs once, it's notable as well. But Wilfong on the national stage is a big deal. So Kobe Clapper has an offer from Ohio State. He's also got Cincinnati, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, and a handful of others on his offer sheet, but being predicted to land at Notre Dame. I am told that his visit over the weekend went very well. It is possible that he takes some spring visits, Darren, but I think that he is going to, I could see him coming off the board in like April or May. And if that's the case, I think that Notre Dame's got a really good chance to a good chance to land him. I believe that the Irish are the team out in front for Kobe Clapper. So he's been a top linebacker prospect for the Irish for a while.
Tyler Merrill, remind us who he is, and he has dropped the top 5.
He did. So we're talking about another visitor for Notre Dame over the weekend. What did they feed these kids, Darren? 6'5", 330-pound high school junior. That's Tyler Merrill from Mechanicsburg, PA. So the night of his visit at like 9:00 on Saturday night for Junior Day, he posts a top 5 of Penn State, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Clemson, and Alabama. And I logged a prediction for him to land with the Fighting Irish last August, and that was kind of a bold prediction at the time, because it's like, man, it's tough to go into Pennsylvania and beat Penn State, especially for an offensive lineman. But I logged that early projection pick for Notre Dame to do it, and I'm liking where that stands today. I think the Irish have a really good chance to land this number 82 overall prospect, number 5 interior offensive lineman nationally per the On3 industry ranking. I listed the top 5 schools. Merrill is someone I get the sense that he's going to commit sooner than later. He's taken a bunch of visits. He's been to Penn State 10 times. He's been to Notre Dame 5 times. Michigan, Michigan 4 times. Syracuse, Ohio State, Bama. He's been everywhere. So when a prospect has visited a ton of schools already, you can just see them committing earlier than someone who gets the process started later. So if that is the case, I like Notre Dame for Tyler Merrill. So he was the highest ranked visitor for Notre Dame for that Junior Day, January 25th, according to the On3 industry ranking. And if he does pick Notre Dame, he would be the 3rd offensive lineman. They have 2 already committed, and Ben Nichols and Sullivan Garvin, both of those guys from Michigan. Their interior offensive lineman, Merrill, at 6'5", 330 pounds right now, is an interior guy projected at the next level. Notre Dame's really looking to obviously load up at Garden Center for the 2026 class. So this could be a 4 to 5 man offensive line class when it's all said and done, and it has the chance to be a really good one.
Mike, besides following recruiting, you also spend time watching the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame's window for their players to jump into the portal ended Saturday night. So based on the players that went into the portal, I'll phrase it this way. I don't think they lost a guaranteed 2025 starter in the portal in this
Right.
go around. How would you assess the departures from the Irish roster and what it means going forward?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. And it was what, six guys entered the portal on scholarship since, right? You had the 3 during the football season, but
Right.
since the championship game ended, you had 6 enter the portal and then 2 walk-on tight ends. I mean, there were people, I talk about our message board all the time. Check it out, blueandgold.com. But I read all the comments. That's a great thing about the message board. You get to interact with me all the time. Or that's a bad thing. It depends on how you feel about me. People are like, oh man, you're going to see 10 to 12 players. I'm like, I talk scholarship guys, of course. I'm like, I just don't see that for a couple of reasons, Darren. One, these kids are recruited on 4 for 40. Get your degree. It's a big deal. So they want to see it out, especially if you're like a class of 2022 guy. You've been here for 3 years. So I'm like, I want to get my degree. I'm so close. I'm going to stick it out. Even if I'm riding the bench, I got 1 more year of eligibility. Let me get my degree, maybe go somewhere else next year. And then test my luck and see if I got a chance in the NFL. So that's a big thing. The other part of it, Darren, is Notre Dame kept their roster together for that playoff run, right?
Yep.
But other schools didn't have a national championship run except for Ohio State, right? So their players all entered the portal, and then other schools picked up those players out of the portal. So a long way to say Notre Dame may have had more players enter the portal, but there's just not as many landing spots. There's just not. Like, you have your agent who will test the waters out there and see what would be available for you. And if I'm like let's say I'm a linebacker or something, right? I want to enter the portal, but like all the schools that need a portal linebacker have already gotten it. So, or gotten one. So that's a part of it. So, I mean, if Notre Dame would have lost to IU or Georgia, I think you may have seen 8 or 10 guys enter the portal, but it was 6. Long way to go back to your question. And all on the offensive side of the ball, Darren, I thought was really interesting. 4 offensive linemen and 2 wide receivers. Rocco Spindler, Pat Coogan, Sam Pendleton. Honestly, not surprised by those. Pendleton, started the season and then, didn't end the season as starter. Spindler and Coogan didn't start the season as starters, ended the season as starters, but that 2025 offensive line group, I'm sure we'll spend some time talking about that or with Tyler Horka in the future. You're going to have a guy or two not start who is a darn good football player. Like, it is a loaded offensive line group. So I'm sure those talks with Rocco Spindler and Pat Coogan were, hey, we can't guarantee you a starting spot, or, hey, you're not going to start. Like, we just want to level with you. And, you only have a few days to enter the portal. I'm sure those were kind of the conversations being had because, like, you look at, the Anthony Knapps of the world, Gerby Lambert, even Will Black coming in, Emil Wagner, Charles Jagasaw, Ashton Craig, Billy Shrout. There's just so many talented football players on the offensive line. And I just don't think Rocco Spindler and Pat Coogan were going to start next year. And then the receiver, actually, Ty Chan was one who I was told some Notre Dame people were surprised he left. They wanted him back. Like, he had a really good chance to crack the 2 deep and then get his Notre Dame degree. He's leaving as an undergrad. And then Jaden Thomas and Deion Colsey, receivers back in the 2021 class for the Irish. So they're leaving as graduates with a year of eligibility remaining. And, Notre Dame, I'm sure those guys were going to be just depth pieces, kind of like they were this year. I mean, Jaden Thomas played a good bit, but, I'm sure he wants to be a featured number 1 receiver. So we'll see where Jaden Thomas ends up.
And based on our previous conversations, I'm assuming you're not surprised an Irish quarterback, nobody went into the portal.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm pretty sure I said I wasn't expecting anyone. Like, people are like, oh, Minchie, Angeli. Like, people are anointing Carr already the 2025 quarterback.
It's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
I don't know why. Excuse me. It's going to be a battle. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm having deja vu of talking to you about this very subject. Like, Darren, when's the last time we had this true quarterback battle where you're going in, you're like, man, I could see any 3 of them starting. Guess how many starts you're returning at the quarterback position? 1, and it was the Sun Bowl for Angeli at the end of 2023. So I think the betting favorite is actually Angeli. Not that there's actual odds for this thing, but a lot of people are anointing Carr. Don't sleep on Angeli. And Minchie, man, Minchie throws a really nice ball from what I'm told about how he looks in practice. I wouldn't sleep on him either, but for me, I think it's Angeli, Carr, Minchie. That's my guess right now. But we have a long off season to discuss this, and things will change potentially. Right? You got spring ball. How things go in February, winter workouts. Like I think Angeli, just that leadership factor that he has to kind of lead that group. He's got a great competitive nature. He's been around the block for a little while now. So I think Angeli's the guy to beat there, but we'll see.
You're right. Long off season, but spring practice will be here before you know it. When you play on January 20th, things come at you pretty quick. All right, Mike, how about a sales job on blueandgold.com right now?
I mean, it's just the place to be. It's like, I think being a member of the Blue and Gold message board in the off season is even better than during the season, because during the season it's just active everywhere. If you want Notre Dame content, you can go on Twitter, Reddit, whatever you want, and it's going to be loaded. But what about it's the dog days of the off season? It might not be as active. Well, that's where we're going to go to blueandgold.com, because we're always talking. We have several staff members on there. We're doing weekly chats, posting recruiting articles. Jack and Tyler, who cover the beat for Notre Dame football for us, they are posting several articles a day. I mean, we just have it's Notre Dame 365 days a year. So if you're a big Notre Dame fan and you want more Notre Dame content, more Notre Dame community, blueandgold.com is 100% the place to be.